Okay, well, welcome everyone. We are so excited to do this call. It's something we have been just going back and forth on for weeks, and we've just been really excited to share some information with you guys that has helped us on our journeys in motherhood, and that we thought we could just pass along. Of course, we are not claiming to be experts in motherhood because nobody is. We're all a work in progress, let's be honest. But we are trained holistic health coaches, and we're taught to listen to our bodies and how to treat them holistically and take care of ourselves, and that is of utmost importance. And so that's what we're going to share tonight, is how we take care of ourselves, and hopefully you'll take away some ideas on how to take care of yourself. My name is Michelle Barnett, and I am a wife. I am a brand new mom to my little girl, Brooklyn. She's 3 months old, and she's the cutest thing in the whole world. I just feel like my heart bursts every day in so many ways. And I'm also a holistic health coach. I am a mom on a mission with a real just yearning and desire to help other mamas and other families on their health journey. So I'll let Steph, you can share a little bit about you. Intro.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. I don't know where you are on the screen, but it's funny because you pointed right at me and I'm like on the other side of you. So I'm Stephanie Fletcher and I live in San Antonio, Texas. I'm also a wife and a mom of 4 kiddos. I have a teenage daughter, so go ahead and pray for me. She's 13, Sophia. And then I have 3 boys, 11, Maddox, and then Liam, 8. I'm like, am I going to remember all these? And then Cruz is 3. So I've passed the test. Don't ask me their birthdays. All right. And like Michelle said, we are both holistic health coaches, and it's been really fun for both of us to meet, and she'll tell you kind of more about that later. And just get to do this together. And so we seriously have been planning this forever. And I think the hardest part of the planning was trying to cut this down to 30 minutes because we absolutely are passionate about helping other people in their health journey, which is what I kind of want to talk to you guys real quick about is what is a health coach? A lot of people have no clue what we do. And sometimes like, are you a life coach? And I'm like, no, I'm not a life coach. And so what a health coach does is really, we work with clients either one-on-one or with groups, and we just kind of meet people where they're at in their health journey. And so they give us some goals that they have, and we work with them to try to achieve those goals. And so Michelle and I haven't talked about how we do our program. So mine is a 6-month-long program, and we just have a blast working with people in whatever way we can. And so this is just another way for us to reach a lot of people, especially moms. And I think because both of us are in this season of motherhood, this is really who we're passionate about.
Yep. And obviously she has more kids than me. So I'm really on here just to learn from her tonight. Well, I want to back up and share a little bit of my background with you guys, because I think when sometimes people think like you're a health coach, oh, you must, be a perfect eater and be super healthy your whole life. And really that's not my story. My background, in high school and college, I like to say I was a chronic fad dieter. I tried fat-free, low-fat, low-carb, you name it. Any chance I could, I would get something that was like a spray food, like spray butter and sprayed salad dressing. And I'm really kind of embarrassed to say that. But I mean, I thought it was like no calories. And so you can't gain weight whenever you have spray food. So that's my, that's my past. But what I realized is that as I got older and I started my first corporate job, and I started realizing that my theory of all of these fad dieting and trying to outwork out a bad diet was not getting me where I wanted to go. And I started to realize that I had some underlying issues that I needed to start addressing, because if I didn't in my 20s, they would just continue to get worse. And so some of the things I was dealing with at the time were chronic seasonal allergies, chronic pain in my knee and in my back, and seeing a chiropractor 3 times a week. I had adult acne, and I, of course, like most people, had some weight that I wanted to lose from sitting in an office all day and not be, I was exercising, but I wasn't eating well to kind of partner with that. And so all of this kind of culminated in me realizing that being healthy was not the same as being skinny, and that my focus needed to be on my health and on prevention. And that took me down a path to finding this amazing whole food nutrition company that I decided to partner with, which really opened my eyes to the power of real food and the power of fruits and vegetables. It also led me to eating more of a plant-based diet long term. It led me to getting certified, like Steph said, as a holistic health coach so that I could help other people, and ultimately led me to quitting my career in marketing and advertising so that I could jump full force into helping my friends, my family, and women in general learn to feed their bodies, their mind, and their soul well. And that's really my passion. And so, you know, Steph and I are really two peas in a pod, I think. And, you know, the way we met was through this whole food nutrition company. Both of our journeys, our health journeys, really led us to the same nutrition company. And that's how we met. And we both realized that our calling was to inspire healthy living in our homes and around the world. And so that's one of the reasons we're doing this today, is to expand our reach and help, you know, more of you guys have a little insight into the things that we've learned. So Steph, you want to share some more background about you?
Yes. So we're telling you guys our stories because we really want you guys to kind of hear where we're coming from. And mainly that is that our stories and what we're doing now are kind of birthed from not leading healthy lives. Okay. And here's the ironic part. I have been in health and wellness for 17 years. So I was a trainer and group fitness, personal training, and then I did corporate wellness, which is actually what I love to do. And so I did that for 17 years. And you guys, I really got into that because I had never played a sport in my entire life. Michelle, I don't know if you knew this, but I have never played a sport in my whole life. So I always wore athletic clothes and people thought that I was athletic. Y'all, never, do not put me on a field with anyone. You will lose. I mean, if you're on my team. And so, essentially, but when I started working out in college for the very first time ever, I realized I kind of enjoyed I had a trainer and I enjoyed that relationship between trainer and client. And so that's really how I got into it, was just getting trained myself, and kind of that goes into my journey. And so that whole path led me to just being around health and wellness. And so learning a lot about food and all that kind of stuff for so many years. And I loved helping people in that physical part, I can't talk tonight, physical fitness. Okay. But here's the thing. You fast forward. So I had kids. We moved to Lima, Peru for 5 years to do mission work. We got back 3 years ago, and I was pregnant with our fourth baby. And when I actually delivered him, I was trying to have a vaginal birth. You know, sometimes I do these things and there's men, but we're all women, so I can talk about vaginas and it's totally fine. So I was planning on having a VBAC with my fourth because I'd had C-sections before. And unfortunately, that did not go well for me. And I had a full-blown uterine rupture. If you're pregnant, don't worry. I was not meant to have a vaginal birth because I had, that's a whole other story. Anyway, so my healing process with that, my body went through something very traumatic, okay? But what is amazing is that my body actually kicked in and started doing that healing process. And that is when I really started realizing how much food played a role, because essentially I had been taking this whole food supplement that she's talking about for a while, and I had really tried to work on my diet and do all this stuff towards the end, though, not towards the beginning. And I really feel like that healing process was really faster. And honestly, I have zero repercussions from that. And they told me I probably would not be able to have sex. I probably would never be able to pee right ever again. There's lots of things that had gone on with that. And so I was super, super grateful. But what I realized 6 months after this, when I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto disease, which probably half of you guys on here have heard of it, because a lot of women our age are getting diagnosed with all these different autoimmune diseases. And so when the doctor said, it's okay, you're already on Synthroid, you're just going to take this pill, it really doesn't matter. And I was like, hold on, you just told me I have an autoimmune disease and you're just going to kind of blow that off. And so essentially that's what led me to go back to school and become a holistic health coach, because I knew there was so much more to health than just what I was doing in just the physical part, because essentially my body was broken for a while and I couldn't do the physical part. And so I had to heal in other ways. And so that's where this whole, this company and the whole food supplement, but really just creating a health haven in our home really began. We decided that we had to create a health haven in our home. And so our passion, and my passion, is birthed from a lot of the experiences, the bad health experiences and that kind of stuff that I had. And I wanted to help other people prepare their bodies in case they did go through crisis, or if they are dealing with that right now, to be able to really manage that. Michelle?
Wow, I did not know that about you. Well, that makes two of us. You don't want to be on our team because I'm super accident prone, and I lacerated my liver one time playing ultimate frisbee. So I've had lots of healing stories too, and it always comes back to food. So well, now that you know a little bit about us, we are going to dive right into some of the tips that we want to share with you guys tonight. And we each are going to share 3 different tips. And if you want to take notes, get out your pen and paper or take mental notes. But these are just things that are working for us. We don't know if they're right for you, but we just want to encourage you, come alongside of you and help you know that the struggle is real, but there are creative solutions and simple solutions to maybe help you get over some of the hurdles that come with having a baby, being pregnant, and the postpartum stuff that happens. So the first tip I want to share with you guys is all about movement and activity and exercising for your sanity. I have not had a gym membership in I think over 3 years, which is weird for me because I used to be a total gym rat, and I got certified to personal train, and I literally would always work out in the gym. But then 3 years ago, my husband and I started traveling in an RV around the country for 2 years. And so you can't really have a gym membership. And so I had to get creative and had to think of different ways. And I really think that helped me. Now that we're back and living in a regular house, that helped me to see that there are other solutions. And so I think a lot of times as moms, we make up, we have excuses. We don't make them up. We have excuses that are valid, our time. We don't have, maybe don't have extra money for a gym. Maybe we're really tired and it's hard to think about getting up earlier or trying to fit in a workout when you're just juggling so much. But I just want to encourage you that you don't need a gym membership to experience all of the benefits that come from getting exercise in on a regular basis. And for me, what it's looked like for me through my pregnancy and through just this postpartum journey is finding ways that I can fit into my lifestyle. And so that, for me, when I was pregnant, working out with a huge belly and being really tired, it was hard. Working full time and finding time to work out. Now having a 3-month-old baby I feel like is always attached to my hip makes it, difficult. But the things that are working for me are really simple. And the first is just walking, like strap on your sneakers, get your stroller out and go for a walk. And that has been like the most consistent thing I've been able to do. I've had plans of I'm going to go to a bar class, or I'm going to go to a yoga, or I'm going to do something, and it never fails. Like the baby has a blowout, or she didn't sleep all night, so there's no way I'm getting up at 6 a.m. to go anywhere and do anything. And so walking has been such a blessing, and it's a great way to get in cardiovascular workout. If you've ever walked with a stroller up hills, you know that you can get a great workout with a stroller. You can even break a sweat if you live in Texas, where it's stinking hot right now. I'm like sweating every time I come in from a workout or from a walk. The other thing too is if you like running, you can take it up a notch and you can run with your baby. And what I love is that she gets to go with me. I don't have to find a sitter. I don't have to, do something special with her. She comes with me and she really enjoys walks. When they're little, they sleep a lot of times in the stroller, or she'll look around. And what I do is I take my phone, I take my headset, and I listen to praise and worship music or pump up music or podcasts, or I call a friend and just try to multitask and fit in some extra things while I am getting in a workout. And that really works well for me. The other thing is pretty fun that I love doing to get in some extra workout is getting on the floor with your kids. If you have older kids, putting in a workout DVD, getting them to do the workouts with you, even if they don't know what they're doing, it'll wear them out and they might take a better nap because they're running around and mimicking mom. And, it may not be the most productive workout, but you're getting active. If you have a baby like I do, she needs to be on the floor. She does floor time, she does tummy time. And what I like to do is get down there with her because she thinks it's fun when mom's like at her level. And so I'll do crunches, I'll do push-ups, I'll do leg lifts, like Jane Fonda style, totally unashamed, Jane Fonda leg lifts. So, you know, I can do some demo videos if you guys like. But what I love doing is planks. I'll have her lay down on the floor and I'll get in a plank position right over her. And so my face is like right next to her face. And she thinks it's hilarious and really entertaining. And for me, it takes my mind off of like all the work I'm doing to hold my body weight up for 30 seconds or a minute if I'm lucky. And so that's not, you know, it doesn't take a lot of extra time out of my day. I may only do 30 crunches or 10 push-ups. What am I kidding? Not 20, but 10 push-ups. And, you know, I get something in and I feel good and she gets time with me. So that's something you guys can do because working out is so beneficial. And I just encourage you, if you think you're too tired, just know that working out actually gives you more energy if you can get into a consistent rhythm with it. So that's tip number one. Moving on to tip number two. This tip is really all about nutrition and something that's called postnatal depletion. It's something that I just became aware of really recently. And I wanted to share it with you guys because I think that it describes almost all of us. So there's an article I read this week called, and the title was, Why It Could Be Taking Years for Women to Recover After Having a Baby. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Feeling like, okay, it's not taking me 9 months, it's taking me years to feel like myself again and to regain kind of how I was before. This term is called postnatal depletion, and it was coined by this Australian doctor who has seen so many moms come in, and it's not necessarily postpartum depression, but their bodies are just depleted. And so he describes it as basically a mother's body is depleted of key essential nutrients after pregnancy that makes it harder for her to recover physically, emotionally, and mentally. Okay, physically, emotionally, and mentally. I mean, those are the three things that I think are the hardest areas to bounce back in. And Dr. Seralak says that, okay, this is going to blow your mind. He says that a mother's brain shrinks 5% during pregnancy. Y'all, did you know that? Like, I was like so shocked. I don't want my brain shrinking, you know, I'm like, I need to go do like Sudoku or something to make my brain smarter. And so our brains shrink 5% during pregnancy, but not only that, the placenta drains us of our essential nutrients that we need to be healthy. And so he says part of the problem is postnatal care ends after 6 weeks. And so women aren't being taught how to take care of their body, how to rebuild those lost nutrients after this depletion happens. And he says the effects of it can last up to 7 years or longer. And I don't know about you, I don't want to be dealing with these things for 7 years. And so that's why we are so passionate about talking about this and making sure women know that there's things that they can do. Some of the symptoms he talks about are exhaustion, even after waking up from like a good night's sleep, anxiety, foggy brain, trouble concentrating and remembering things. I know I've had some of those moments. Sometimes I blame it on being blonde and sometimes on being a mom. Feeling overwhelmed is another, and then mood swings. I know that, you know, for most of us, we've all had one or more of these symptoms. So it's not new, you know, for us to know that our babies are getting all the nutrients first. When we're eating something, you know, when we're pregnant or nursing, our babies are getting that nutrition. But, you know, when we have a baby, we're immediately taking care of a new tiny human that requires so much just all-consuming time and energy. And sometimes some of us are taking care of multiple littles after we give birth. And so it can really make it hard to make sure that our nutrition is on point. And so all of that to say, you know, there is good news. There are simple ways to just fill your body with good nutrition and easy ways to bring that health back up without like killing yourself to try to do it. And so really, you know, what I want to share with you guys, my tip is really focusing on making sure your body is getting a large amount of nutrition daily from raw whole foods, and making sure you're taking an extra omega fatty acids to enable your body to rebuild the stores that are depleted, which is causing a lot of the symptoms and a lot of the issues that, you know, that he describes. So, you know, I think before I was pregnant, and even now I hear, you know, it seems so normal to think that prenatal vitamins are the answer, right? But in reality, you know, most of the prenatal vitamins I've looked into and researched don't have any research on them. And they oftentimes cause some symptoms that really are almost worse than the benefits that we get from them. Some things like constipation, nausea. Some people can't take prenatal vitamins because they're so potent. Right, yeah, they make you sick when you take them. And so it's really important to think about those things and to know that, you know, something that's really synthetic can be hard for your body to absorb and to use. And so when I first found out I was pregnant, I did really extensive research to make sure that I was taking something that would not only benefit me and my baby, but something that was backed by research, something that was easily absorbed in the body, and something that was whole food based. And so my best advice is to find something for yourself that meets all those three criteria. And for me, that was the Juice Plus Whole Food Nutrition capsules. So they have basically 30 raw fruits and vegetables that are vine ripened, and they take them and they juice them, dry them, put them into a capsule. And then I also found the Juice Plus Omegas, which are all plant-based, and basically they just cold press plants to get the omega fatty acids. And that's really important because you're getting the nutrients from food, and then you're getting the nutrients from food for the omega fatty acids. And luckily and thankfully, I was able to have a really healthy pregnancy using this as my prenatal. I feel like I've healed faster than expected from just the trauma of giving birth naturally. And it's just, I think my experience postpartum has been a lot better than I expected and a lot healthier. And it just started making sense. I mean, I knew my nutrition was a big part of it, but reading this research and reading this article really put it all together that my nutrition was a big part of why my postnatal depletion wasn't at the level that a lot of people experience. And so my regimen, just really quick, is I take 3 of the fruit capsules. This is what they look like: 3 of the fruit capsules, 3 of the veggie capsules, and 3 of the berry capsules for pregnancy. And I did double of the omegas. And the reason I did 3 fruit and 3 vegetable was for the extra folate that I would need. The reason I did 3 berries was for the swelling and inflammation. I was lucky I didn't have swelling really until the last week of my pregnancy, and it was really minimal. And then the reason for the double omegas is, especially in the 2nd and 3rd trimester, that's when the baby's brain and nerves are developing. So for my postpartum regimen, I actually just started doubling up on all of them because I knew that I was going to be breastfeeding. And number one, they're a great milk booster, which is just a side bonus. And I know it takes a lot of nutrition to fuel a growing baby, especially one that's growing and developing and changing so rapidly. And so I knew that I needed even more for this season. And so just lastly, some of the last benefits that I've seen using this as my prenatal and postnatal have been no constipation. Hooray! You don't want that. Very regular. No swelling, like I said, during pregnancy. No nausea when taking Juice Plus, even on an empty stomach. I healed, I think, faster, really fast from my natural birth and from tearing. My breast milk supply has been really good. And I feel like my hormone levels have leveled out pretty well. And I just want to tell you guys, I did run this by my OBGYN. Even being a health coach and knowing all this stuff, I ran it by her. She had heard of Juice Plus and she was totally on board for it. There actually are a lot of OBGYNs that are 100% behind taking whole food supplements instead of a prenatal. So just know that, and you can always run it by your healthcare provider as well. But I've had such a great experience using this that I just felt compelled that this is a tip that I want all mamas to know, because if I can make your prenatal or postnatal experience even just a little bit better, a little bit healthier, then that's my duty as a health coach. So I'm going to turn it over to Steph, and she's going to share some of her tips with us.
All right. Hang in there, guys. Hang in there. We got a few more good tips. You guys are doing awesome. I would love to see y'all's faces. I don't know if you guys can undo your video or put your videos on, but I love to look at your faces. But if you don't want to, that's fine. Okay. So here are my tips. One, I want you guys, if you have a pen and paper, I want you guys to write this down. This question: hold on, I gotta think about how I'm gonna ask this. What would create a health haven in my home? Or what changes do I need to make to create a health haven in my home? I asked that with my husband. So if you are married, you can sit down, and I would suggest doing this with your spouse. Or if you're not, you can then you only have one less person to ask, right? So you want to really think about that question, because we did. And what we came up with was the fact that I think a lot of us compare ourselves to other moms. Can I get a head nod, right? Yes. Okay. So when I moved back from Lima, Peru to the US, so it was the first time my kids had been in elementary school. We were doing all of this. And so I came home with guns blazing. I was like, PTA, POT, PTO, I don't even know what it is, but I'm joining everything. This is what mamas do. Let's get some craft paper. Let's do everything. And y'all, I was miserable my first year back. I was going to every meeting. I was exhausted. I felt horrible, and I was not enjoying life. And so I made myself a joy-sucking list, things that were sucking the joy out of my life. And literally, a lot of those things were things that I had joined that I really like. I didn't want to go to a PTA meeting. I didn't want to go to the hot dog meeting. I just did not want to. And I didn't want to plan all these things. I wanted to take my kids and drop them off at the hot dog meeting. And so essentially what it came down to was I had to start saying no to all these things, because it wasn't something that was giving me joy as a mom. It wasn't. And I think so many things that we do, like, y'all, I'd rather chew on glass. My kids just came in, I think. But I'd rather chew on glass than like do a craft. I'm just going to say right now out loud, that's just who I am. Okay. You crafty moms out there, I love you so much. And that is amazing, but that's just not what I like to do. Games, crafts, all that. I would rather go outside and kick a soccer ball for an hour with my child than to play a game. Now, sometimes I do try to play a game here and there once a year. I'm just joking. I do a little bit often. But my whole point is, think about the things that are sucking the joy out of you and start trying to weed that list down. Also, make a list of the things that you guys are, that are essentially, that you guys are participating in, that you can essentially take yourself out of. And who are you comparing yourself to? You are the best mother for your child. It doesn't matter if someone's homeschooling, if they send their kids to private school or charter school or public school. It really doesn't matter if they do crafts all day long and it's awesome and they love it. It really doesn't matter, because you're the best mom for your kids. And when I could really grasp that, and you can look at Facebook and it doesn't matter what all these other moms, because it's all the highlight reel anyway, right? And so remember that. But if you go on my reel, it's not always highlight. I like to post a lot of lowlights so that everybody knows that life is real. Like my son's nail was coming off all the way off today, and I had to post about that. So I want you guys to really think about that list, and write down 3 things that would help you create a health haven in your home. What would that look like? Is it less screaming? Is it you getting to bed earlier? All these things. So make that list and really start looking at that. And if you are married, start looking at that with your spouse, because that's a list that you guys need to come up with together, right? My husband and I realized that there was a lot of things that we needed to change for the health of our family, for the health of my own personal health, for the health of our marriage. And so I really want you guys, that is one tip, the biggest tip I can give you guys. All right. The second one is this. Speaking of joy sucking, breakfast. Breakfast was a joy sucker for me. I could not stand. I was not one of those that could get up and fix a gourmet breakfast. And then if I thought, well, if I'm not going to do a gourmet breakfast, my option is like popping nasty waffles sorry if y'all do this, but I mean, most of them are nasty, in the toaster, or something quick, which wasn't healthy. And so I was like, well, what do I do? Because have y'all ever tried to get 4 kids ready before 7 o'clock? No, it is not fun. It was sucking the joy out of me. So one thing is I got up earlier. And the other thing is I discovered this. You see this little package? More importantly, my husband discovered this. And so now he makes breakfast every morning, and it's out of a package, but it's all plant-based. And so these little bad boys, it's called Complete. It's also, it's affiliated with what Michelle was talking about with the Juice Plus. And literally, it's actually what I'm drinking tonight too. It's my drink of choice tonight because I didn't have time for dinner. It's a whole other story. But breakfast, if I can put it in a blender, and I know all my kids are getting a really healthy Complete. It's actually called Complete, which I think is funny because it is a complete shake. I mean, it has all the plant-based stuff. It has protein. It has fiber. It has everything. In fact, I don't know if you guys know who Dr. Sears is. He's like a world-renowned pediatrician, and he calls it the brainy breakfast. And Lord knows my kids need a brainy breakfast before they have to go sit at school for 8 hours. So that is one thing that for me, I decided that I'm over breakfast. My husband now makes a huge blender every morning. He just does all the cups like that and done. So that was something, you know, again, it kind of goes in the same line as joy sucking, but find something simple and something easy. But easy doesn't mean unhealthy, okay? So you got to make sure not associate those two. So those are my two. Michelle, I know we've only got one more each, and then I know we're going over our time. Sorry.
No, there's too much good to share. So my last tip for you guys is something called the 2Gs, gratitude and grace. And it's so funny, Steph and I are on the same page so much that so what I'm sharing is a little bit of what she shared, because it's so important that I really believe that comparison is the thief of joy. And as a parent, we fall victim daily, hourly, to just seeing what other people are doing. And I really am a believer that what you focus on grows. If you're focusing on what you're doing wrong or what somebody else is doing better, that's not going to make you happy or content or help you be the mother that you want to be. And so if you can focus on the things you're doing well and the blessings in your life and the things that you are grateful for, it's going to help you have that contentment, have that joy, and exude that to your children and to your husband and to your family. And so two things that you guys can do. Number one is every morning and every night, think of and say out loud or write down three things that you are grateful for, or that are blessings in your life, or just things that you've done well that day. And if you start your morning with three things that are great about your life or your family or your parenting, your peace is going to follow you through the day. You're going to have more peace and more joy throughout the day. If you go to bed thinking of three awesome things, you're going to have better sleep because your mind is at rest and is at ease and is joyful right before you go to sleep. The other thing is, if you're a writer like I am, get a journal and daily or weekly write your gratitude out. If you've ever read the book 1,000 Gifts, I just love that book because every day she wrote things that she was thankful for, and it was everything from the tiny little moments with her children to the bigger things that God had done for her. And so I love writing it out, and I do it weekly at this point because I'm not disciplined enough to do it daily, but I do it weekly, and it helps me release the defeating thoughts that cloud my mind. It helps me to be honest with myself, and helps me to thank God for all of my blessings, and to look back and really see that through each of the seasons of my life, how things have come together and all of the great things that have shaped me to be who I am, as well as seeing the answered prayers that have come. So my last tip is just to have gratitude and give yourself grace.
All right. And my last one, I want to read you guys a quote. I go really deep and I get my quotes from cookbooks, but listen to this. It's awesome because it's going to play into what we're about to talk about. The further we remove ourselves from the source of our food, the less we are able to maintain physical and emotional balance. Our processed food diets are so lacking in nutrition that we require coffee to wake up, sugar to get through the day, television to calm down, alcohol to let go of our inhibitions, chocolate and ice cream to feel satisfied, pills to sleep through the night, and drugs to provide us with the illusion of health. Now, and that was by Terry Wall, Clean Food. So I read that a long time ago and I was like, oh my goodness, that was like me in every way. And so one of the things that I decided to start doing, because I think when you plan and prep food, sometimes it can get really overwhelming, right? When somebody says, oh yeah, I plan and prep all my food, I'm like, okay, what exactly are you doing? And so I really simplified it. And for me, this has really worked. I don't know if it'll work for you, but I had to have it really simple. First of all, I cannot plan breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. That is not going to happen. I'm not that consistent. It's just not going to happen. So here's what I got. This is from the dollar aisle at Target. You see it? It's a whiteboard. It's a little bit black because I've used it so much, but it has a magnet on the back and it just says Monday through Sunday. And what I do is I actually plan out one meal a day, one large meal a day. And like I told you, there's a lot of us. And so what I usually do is I double the meal, and this is mainly during the school year too, but I double the meal and make it huge, okay, so that there's lunch leftovers for their lunches the next day, because they bring hot food all the time to school for lunches and thermoses. And so when I have to think of planning one meal a day, that I can do. So I sit down on Sundays for about 30 minutes. I look through cookbooks. I make sure and write the cookbook and the page, because sometimes you can plan and then you're like, oh crap, what was that? Where was that recipe? So I want to encourage you guys, because when you plan and prep and you take that 30 minutes to do that, you're giving yourself more time in the week. I can promise you that. Then if you go to the grocery store, I don't go on Sundays because I hate H-E-B on Sundays. That's our grocery store. It's like horrible. So I go Mondays and I buy the groceries, and then I take about 30 minutes to an hour to prep, to wash those fruits and veggies and to cut them up. Because if they're ready, my kids are going to eat them. They're way more likely to eat things if they're already ready to go. If they have to wash them, they're like, yeah, never mind, I'll go to the next thing. What? That is lazy. Okay. And then the other cookbook that I want to, have you guys heard of 100 Days of Real Food? If you have not, you need to go to your Amazon list and put this on there right now. This is her old book. She has 2 books. Her second one edition is like bluish green. But this girl, I love her. She's all about real food, okay? But it's not gluten-free and blah, blah, blah free, dairy-free, all that. But it is real food, right? So she takes stuff that kids already really like, and it's for families, and kind of tweaks it to make it real food. Now, if you're gluten-free or dairy, you can just tweak them, okay? So I've tweaked a lot of stuff. But essentially, we just want to share some. We could go on, y'all, for like an hour. I'm so sorry. We were a little over. But we just want to thank you guys for getting on and just listening to these tips. And essentially, we just want you guys to be encouraged. You guys are doing an incredible job. Momming is hard. Yes, they say it's very rewarding, blah, 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 and it is. But it's also very, very hard. And so you guys are in the trenches, and blessings to you guys. If you guys want to reach out to us, Michelle, did you put the Instagram stuff on there? Oh, look at that. She did. So you can look at the Instagram stuff, and I also have a website that I will put on here real quick while Michelle closes this up.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being a part of this tonight. We had so much fun. Obviously, we can talk for hours, but we don't have that much time. So if you would like more information about anything that we shared tonight, please feel free to talk to the person who invited you to this call. They can tell you more about our Healthy Living Revolution community, more about these supplements or the shakes, or any of the above. And if you want to connect with us directly, we're putting our Instagram information in the chat and Steph's website, and you guys can find us there and ask questions and get more fun tips.
I actually totally forgot my Instagram. I don't even know what it is.
We'll go to our website.
Go to my website, and you'll find me there. Okay.
All right.
You guys are awesome.
Thank you guys so much.
Unmute if you want. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.